It's time for another Media Madness segment. Media Madness segment. Okay, just made that up. Okay, that's our little intro. Great. Well, for this first portion of this, we turn to good old CNN, usually pretty reliable for a Media Madness segment. Let's take a look at this. This is good old Smirkanish for you. I'm going to bring him right on up into your face.
Can either coronavirus or Bernie Sanders be stopped? Can either coronavirus or Bernie Sanders be stopped? Can either coronavirus or Bernie Sanders be stopped?
I mean, do I need to provide commentary? Or can I just let that be the segment for today? Because, I mean, really, like, how deplorable is that? To make this comparison between Bernie Sanders, who has a grassroots movement of working class people sweeping this country that want to see serious change in our government and are actively engaging our citizens, engaging young people, getting them involved in the process. To compare the enthusiasm, the electricity, the excitement that is surging through and spreading through these people to a virus that has just killed someone inside of the United States. I mean, you wonder why people don't go to CNN for their news. Because this is the kind of garbage that you get from them. So let's continue with the next portion of this segment. So here he is in the next part with some dude. I don't even know who he is, but who cares? Like, honestly, who cares who he is? Chairman of the Greenville Tea Party. Okay, that's great. Now, who cares? Play.
Well, we believe that Bernie is actually the worst candidate for the Democrats because it would be a clear contrast between his communist, socialist ideologies and the free enterprise and capitalism and the Republican principles of President Trump. So we don't think the American people...
Okay, so let's pause. He's the worst candidate because it would be the clearest contrast between him and Trump. Yeah, it would. You silly person, you. That is a part of what the appeal is. That is a part of the argument for Bernie Sanders. Is because his brand of socialism, as he calls it, not communism, socialism, is really just about providing a robust social democracy for the country and providing a robust social safety net for this country. Yes, it is providing a contrast to the unfettered, ridiculously out of control, laissez-faire capitalism / really actually corporatism of the Republican and Democratic parties. Because let's be clear, the establishment Dems are exactly the same when it comes to this being corporate owned. So, I mean, no, that's actually what makes Bernie Sanders the best candidate. So you are just so monumentally wrong, and you have your finger so far from the pulse of the country that you can't even talk straight. You can't even think straight. Let's continue.
Some of the younger skulls full of mush may be leaning toward Bernie. As Mark Twain once said, if you're not a liberal by the time you're 20, you don't have a heart. But if you're not a conservative by the time you're 30, you don't have a brain.
Look at that smug look on his face at the end of that. If you're not a liberal by the time you're 30, you don't have a heart. But if you're not a conservative by the time you don't have a brain. Like, no, we've never heard that one before. No one has ever heard. That one was new. It was new. Never heard it. Okay, honestly, yeah. And if you are still a Donald Trump supporter by the time you're this guy's age, you're a moron. There's one other portion of this media madness segment, and for this we go to print media. Okay, this is the Boston Globe, like the Boston Globe. Now this is an opinion piece, but this is the Boston Globe. All right, let's get into it. Opinion. Bernie Sanders goes for the campaign kill. His campaign events in Massachusetts show disrespect to Elizabeth Warren. By Scott Lee or Leahy or something. I don't really care. Scott Lehigh. Everybody add him on Twitter right now and just laugh. Just laugh. Don't call him names. Don't stoop Tenny. Name calling. Don't even just laugh. It's just funny. This is funny. This is comedy. This belongs in the funnies section of the paper. Let's continue. Bernie Sanders' win in Massachusetts would come at the cost of Elizabeth Warren's political dignity. Woo! These people in the media, in this here media, okay, are crazy. Let's continue. Let's call Bernie Sanders' latest campaign move exactly what it is. Shabby, Bernie. Shabby. As he pursues the nomination of a party, let's just stop right there. Because that's what you have an issue with. The rest of this is just nonsense. The rest of what I'm going to go on to read is just filler. This is the issue. This is the real issue. And they always find a way to brush past real issues, but it's always hidden somewhere in there. The real truth is almost always hidden somewhere in plain sight. Because these people have so much contempt for the grassroots, they just can't help themselves. The real issue here is exactly this. He is pursuing the nomination of the Democratic Party. Full stop. That's what they have an issue with. But let's continue. As he pursues the nomination of a party he hasn't even deigned to join over the long term, Sanders is coming to Elizabeth Warren's home state for 2 pre-Super Tuesday stops. Springfield on Friday, Boston on Saturday, in the hopes of dealing her a campaign-ending defeat. He'll be in Minnesota on Monday with the same goal regarding Amy Klobuchar. My response to this? Good. Good. And in fact, if Elizabeth Warren had any sense of dignity whatsoever anyway, she would have dropped out by now. You can't even finish second in 3 out of 3 contests. You not finishing second in South Carolina. I would be surprised if she finishes third. And you are now polling in a position right now to not even win your own home state, whether Bernie Sanders goes there or not. That's pathetic. That's sad. That's trife. And honestly, if she can't even win Massachusetts, what case does she have that she should be the president of these United States, that she should be the Democratic nominee? She can't even get Massachusetts out to vote for her. The same people that put her in the Senate, she can't even get them to come out for her in a primary. Really? And you want to blame that on Bernie Sanders? Bernie Sanders sees that there's an opening. Bernie Sanders is one of the most popular politicians in the country. Elizabeth Warren is not. Let's just put it like that. Warren's campaign is already facing tough times. Oh, poor baby. Poor baby. Poor baby. This is another part of what I always say, the infantilization of women. If we're going to respect women, let's respect them. If we're going to be feminists, let's be that all the way. But this halfway nonsense where we infantilize them and act like we need to, she's having trouble. That's not Bernie Sanders' problem. That's her problem. She's having trouble because she has run a cruddy campaign. Now, let's just be real about that. This woman started off running a campaign that was based in ideas, that was all about how she was going to make the wealthy pay their fair share, all about how she was going to end corruption, and yes, all about how she stood with Bernie Sanders, the guy who, as he says, wrote the damn bill. That's what her campaign was about when she started. And what is it about now? Woke signaling, nonsense, oh, I'm with her, I'm with Amy Klobuchar garbage, and slay queen moments where she lies on Bernie Sanders and says that he's some kind of secret sexist, goes out there and reverses her positions on issue after issue, including not taking PAC money. Then she turns around and takes PAC money while she points at everybody else and tells them, why are you taking PAC money? And then she goes and takes it after promising not to do so. Then she goes and it's like, oh, well, I'm the only principal person. I want to be the leader on this issue, but everybody else has to do it first. That's not even what leadership is. So she doesn't know what leadership is. How can she lead the country? Just stupid. Just stupid. If you're supporting Elizabeth Warren right now, you really need to take a look at yourself. You really need to get your head checked because there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you. Let's continue. Warren's campaign is already facing tough times while Sanders is ascendant among the progressive voters. The two are vying for. Right, so she needs to drop out. What is she doing in this race anymore? She's a spoiler candidate. Why can't you fools see that? She's a spoiler candidate at this point. What other purpose could she possibly serve right now? She's not going to win. She's not even going to win the progressive vote. She's not going to win the conservative vote. Chris Christie recently was on, I believe, Colbert's show, where he made a great point. And it's so funny because Chris Christie is one of the last people I thought I would agree with on any issue. But when people are right, they're right. I don't sit here and play these silly games. I'm going to not act like he's right. I'm not going to give any attention to it because it's Chris Christie. No. When people are right, they're right. And we're going to acknowledge it. Right is right, wrong is wrong, stupid is stupid, and this is stupid. Elizabeth Warren's campaign continuing on another day past South Carolina is stupid. It'd be one thing if she was actually winning her home state. If you can't even win your home state, the message that sends to the country is you are not going to become president of the United States. And her candidacy should not even be taken seriously now, but it will definitely not be taken seriously after she gets her behind spanked in Massachusetts. And justifiably so. What is wrong with people? What is wrong with these people? Chris Christie on Colbert was like, she has ideas. He was like, no. Elizabeth Warren used to have ideas. Okay? That was back when she was the, I'm with Bernie person. But now, she's not like that anymore. Now she's going out there with all this nonsense and the woke signaling and all this garbage that nobody's here for. And she has now alienated both sides. She's walked back her positions. He is absolutely right about that. Walked back her position, and now she's in no man's land. Because the progressives, we don't want nothing to do with her. The centrists don't want anything to do with her. Nobody trusts her any further than they can throw an elephant. So they're not interested in her. My goodness, I certainly don't trust her any further than I could throw a Cherokee tribesman. I'm having fun with this today. Let's continue. Leading in both California and Texas, it's called winning. That's what you're supposed to do. He is expected to rack up some big victories on Super Tuesday, while Warren will likely be left to try to put a shine on more discouraging results. What does this have to do with anything? What does that have to do with Bernie Sanders' campaign? Elizabeth Warren's going to have trouble on Super Tuesday while Bernie Sanders won't. And who cares? Who cares? And more importantly, why should Bernie care? Why should his supporters care? Let's continue with this crap. But that's just another reason why his raid behind her political lines is an affront to his Senate colleague, supposed friend, and left-wing ally. I agree, supposed friend. A supposed friend that stabbed him in the back by coming out public, remembering I just remember that Bernie Sanders is actually sexist. This far into the campaign, when again I'm getting that behind toe up in this primary, and now she's like, oh wait, I mean really? Yeah, you're right, supposed friend, because she is not a real friend. She's two-faced, and she's shown that at every stage of this primary. Both the Bernie Sanders and his supporters, many of whom were her supporters in 2015. Now, I can't get nobody to say amen to that right there. Because these are the same people that wanted her to jump in the ring. She refused to. Any advantage he gains would come at the cost of her dignity. That's her problem. Her dignity is her problem. And if she had any self-respect, she would have dropped out already. Because when we've had 3 contests and you can't even finish second, you drop out. Sanders, however, is perfectly willing to... I'm sorry. No, I skipped a juicy paragraph. Let's read all of this delicious stupidity. After all, it's not just that a loss in her home state would likely mark the end of Warren's presidential hopes. It would also visit a major humiliation upon her in the process. Sanders, however, is perfectly willing to do that to a fellow progressive senator. She's not progressive. I'm done with that garbage. You can call her progressive out there if you want to. That's fine. I respect your opinion. But she's not. Not on this channel. She's not. One who has been so gentle in her campaign criticism of him that their left-lane rivalry has barely risen to the level of political pillow fight. Yeah, I would call it more than a political pillow fight to say that somebody told you in private that they're sexist, to not come out and immediately say, hey, that's not true. He did tell me this, but here was the context of it, and it's not true that he's a sexist, to let that continue to be implied in the media, and then to go up to him, mic's hot, mic's blazing, cameras on, and to say, did you just call me a liar on television? There's nothing about that that's a pillow fight. That's real serious shot fired from the Hillary Clinton. Oops. Well, actually, from the Elizabeth Warren campaign, which is now basically has a lot of Hillary people, a lot of Obama people. Maybe it is the Hillary Clinton campaign. Maybe that's why they're trying the same dirty tricks that we saw from Hillary Clinton. Ridiculous. It is very disrespectful and disappointing that after so many years of collaboration, he would try to beat Elizabeth Warren. Oh, no, I'm sorry. To embarrass her in her own state. I basically said the same thing. To beat her in her own state, yeah. I mean, she finds it personally embarrassing. I mean, it is embarrassing. But again, she's choosing to be beat in her own state. Is also revealing. Ooh, how is it revealing? What does it reveal to us? Does it reveal how ridiculous Elizabeth Warren is? Does it reveal how two-faced she is? That she would even run in the first place when we already had a progressive champion who had the infrastructure in place to win from the beginning of this primary, that she would even bother to jump into it in the first place? Is that what it reveals? Does it reveal that she is a terrible politician with awful strategy, that she would continue to put herself through embarrassment as she runs in this primary, even though she is polling second in her own state? Is that what it reveals? Oh, no. Now, as everyone knows, politics ain't beanbag, and there certainly could be opportunity and audacity for Sanders. One poll now has him ahead of Warren in Massachusetts, while another shows the race a virtual tie. So wait a minute here. We have one poll that shows the race a virtual tie, but you're saying he shouldn't campaign in Massachusetts? We already know that these mofos are trying to do everything in their power, and this woman has even said straight up on national television that she will not drop out of this race just because she can't get the 1,900 delegates necessary. And if Bernie Sanders doesn't get it, or any other candidate doesn't get the exact number of delegates that they need to actually clinch the nomination outright, if it goes to a second ballot, she's going to stay in. And she's going to try to convince super delegates to override the will of the people, somebody, and go with her campaign. I would campaign in her state too. I would do everything I could to embarrass her. I would do everything I could to make an embarrassment of her through the election results. Not by talking about her, not by saying anything like that, but by letting my results in the election versus her speak for themselves. I would do everything in my power to embarrass this woman, this snake who stabbed me in the back. I would do everything in my power to embarrass her. Bernie is exactly on the right track with this. I'd be campaigning. I spend more time in Massachusetts. I'm a little bit more vindictive than Bernie Sanders. Okay? I would have had a 15-point lead on her in Massachusetts because I would have been there every other day. Oh, you gonna get out of this race because I'm the progressive in this race, not drop out. Now, as everyone knows, oh, we already read this garbage paragraph. Yeah, so they're in a tie. So why would he not campaign there? It's not even like he has a 50-point lead. They're in a tie. So, of course, he needs to get every delegate he can get in order to even have a chance to make sure that he can get that. We're still, I think, one of the more likely scenarios right now is that nobody gets the majority and that we go to a contested convention. If we end up in that situation, that's not good for anybody in the party. You all should be rooting for Bernie Sanders, who has the best chance of getting the 50% and who has a grassroots movement behind him like no other. You should be rooting for him to get this nomination outright. And that means winning every delegate in every state he can. Yes, including in Massachusetts and Minnesota and wherever else these other candidates come from. Especially when you look at polls and see how terrible she's doing there. But there's also a very real risk of overreach and of backlash. If she plays it skillfully, Warren can rally her state to her side. Her surrogates, meanwhile, have an opportunity to shine an illuminating light on Sanders. After all, there is something exceedingly off-putting about unbridled ambition. Overreach. Oh, you don't want to overwin. You don't want to win by too much. Look, this ain't a football game. This is war. We want to win by every delegate we can. I would be happy if post South Carolina, Bernie Sanders wins every available delegate in every available state. And I wouldn't tell him to stop campaigning until every last one of these pathetic challengers, one mealy-mouthed one who can't even talk, one so-called mayor, failed mayor from the fourth largest town in Indiana, who doesn't have any black support, a soccer mom from Minnesota who doggone bores me to tears every time she's up there. She's shaking and shaking like this every time she's up there. And they think that mousy nonsense is what we're going to put up against Donald Trump. A billionaire who's bought his way up into this election, who did stop and frisk throwing my people up against the wall. I'd be darned if I vote for that nonsense after what you did to my people. Get that out of here. That disgusting billionaire, racist, misogynist that they're trying to run. Another billionaire with the personality of a toaster. I mean, and then a lying so-called Native American. I mean, this is the competition. I would not stop until I won every delegate from every state I could possibly win. I want to embarrass Joe Biden in Delaware. I want to embarrass Klobuchar in her home state, and I want to embarrass her in hers. I want to go to every single person's home state, and I want to wipe the floor with them if I possibly can. I want to run up I want to take out every ad I can, get every endorsement I can, flaunt every endorsement I can, go on every show I can, make every distinction I can. This nice, I'm that friend garbage, that wouldn't be happening with me. Distinction, contrast between me and them would be truly clear. Because this is some nonsense that any of these crazy candidates think they even have a shot. The fact that they even have a shot is an indictment on the state of politics in this country. Of course, we already had the ultimate indictment on that when we elected Donald Trump. But now we're in a place where we got that. That's your lineup of Democratic hopefuls? And on top of that, not a person of color in sight. Oh, my. Trash. No, Bernie Sanders absolutely needs to wipe the floor with every single one of these guys in every single state that he can. Period, point blank, in a discussion. If you disagree with that, you an idiot. Deuces.